House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
You're listening to House of Cards.
Today, the game is different.
I want to gamble. Gambling is a very serious business. Is that clear?
Welcome to House of Cards. Dave Weishaupt with you here, deep from the swamps of Jersey. We got a great show coming up for you. You know, when we're talking about leaders in gaming technology and successful gambling games, Spin Games is at the top of the list. They have put out some of the most creative, fun, and popular gambling games in the market. And for NBA fans out there, they're going to put out a game that will revolutionize the gambling world. And we're going to hear all about it because we're going to talk to the CEO and founder of Spin Games, Kent Young.
And then this is Ashley Adams. We have a little change of pace for you today. We have a world-traveling poker player. His name is Maurice Jenkins. He travels all over the world playing poker. We're going to talk to him about the countries he's played in, the different states he's played in the United States. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
You're listening to House of Cards.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day.
No way.
I'll give you 3-1 odds.
Nope.
5-1.
Nope.
10-1.
You're on.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishottle with you. If you love casino games as much as I do, chances are you've played games that have been developed and distributed by our next guest company. Spin Games is one of the most innovative and creative companies out there when it comes to gaming technology. And if you're a fan of the NBA, they'll be releasing a game that is absolutely incredible. We're going to hear all about Spin Games and what they have coming up in the near future because we're going to talk to the CEO and founder of Spin Games, Kent Young. Ken, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here this morning.
For those who are not familiar with Spin Games, can you tell us a little bit about the company and what types of games and products it produces?
Sure, Dave, sure. So Spin Games is both a technology and game content company. We're US-based. We have a team here in Reno, Nevada, and we also have a development team in Chennai in India. In about 2013, we decided to enter the iGaming market. Prior to that, we were a game content development company where we were providing games to land-based casinos. But with the introduction of iGaming in New Jersey, we thought that we would shift gears a bit and move into the internet gaming space. So we were one of the first suppliers into the New Jersey market. And as I say, we do both content and technology. So our technology drives our games that could be played on I think, a lot of your viewers' favourite sites like Golden Nugget, Resorts, Hard Rock, BWin, etc. We're operating with virtually all the operators in New Jersey. So we have a lot of products, Dave. We have slot products. We provide products and partner with companies like Konami, who you might be familiar with. That are very prominent in the land-based space, another company called Every. And then we have our own content. So across our portfolio, we have slot games, we have Keno, we have Bingo. We've got about 100-odd games that we provide into the market. And, very excited about this new NBA Last 60 product that is coming out soon.
Now, like I said in the introduction, you were one of the founders of Spin Games. What did you see in the marketplace to say that, let's create Spin Games, and what did you see that Spin Games can make a real mark in the industry?
Sure, great question, Dave. I've been in the gaming industry overall for about 30 years, as you might tell from my accent. I started off in Australia and worked in the gaming industry over there. So when New Jersey became a regulated internet gaming site, I saw that as a real opportunity because it was the first market in North America to open up for regulated iGaming. As you might be aware, before that there was a lot of what we call black sites, sites that were operating essentially illegally in the market. So we're a very highly compliant company. So we only go into markets when they're regulated, when there's a piece of law that says that we can operate in those markets. So as I say, when New Jersey came online, we saw that as a great opportunity. We saw it as an opportunity to be one of the first in a new segment of the market. We truly believe, like a lot of other people in the industry, that the internet gaming market is only going to continue to grow. Which we started to see that happen. It didn't happen as quickly as we'd sort of like, but Pennsylvania, for example, is another market that a lot of us are going live in. There's West Virginia coming online next year, and there's a lot of Canadian provinces. And we think on the back of sports betting becoming regulated in a lot of jurisdictions throughout North America, that internet gaming casinos are going to follow along with iGaming. So in short, Dave, we really see it as a growth segment. We've seen the adoption to internet gaming in New Jersey being absolutely outstanding. It started off, doing about 150 odd million a year. It's now doing about 380 million a year since 2013. So that's showing the growth just in one market, and we think that, as I say, a lot more markets are going to open up, and we'll be able to provide our products to your customers in the future in a lot more markets throughout North America.
In preparing for the interview, I looked over some of the games that Spin Games puts out, and I think I've played a lot of them. What are some of your more popular games that were developed and marketed by your company?
Sure. So we have the Ripley's Believe It or Not range, which are extremely popular. We have two games within that category. within Ripley's, believe it or not. And we find that players really move over to branded products like that, and they've done exceptionally well since we first put them out. I think we put the first one out in New Jersey about 12 months ago. We followed that up with another great product that's also a licensed product called Raiden, which is a product that we've modified from the PC console game Raiden, which is extremely popular. And then we have other games that we teamed up with a company called Incredible Technologies that is one of the fastest growing suppliers of content in the casinos, in the land-based casinos. And one of the games in particular, Crazy Money 2, which a lot of people can play on both in the casino and in iGaming, has been an absolutely outstanding product. We have a range of video poker products that do exceptionally well. There are a lot of the standard video poker products such as Jacks or Better and Deuces Wild that do exceptionally well out in the marketplace.
Stick around. We'll be right back with House of Cards.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Where was the house? Where was the House of Cards?
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here. For those of you just joining us, I'm talking with CEO and founder of Spin Games, Kent Young. Yeah, I got to tell you, as I said, I've played a lot of your games, and I think they're just incredible. What are some of the considerations and steps that Spin Games goes through when it's creating a gaming product?
Sure. That's a really good question. In our business, Dave, it's sort of a little bit of science and a little bit of art. Developing a slot product is not sort of black and white. The majority of products that are developed, aren't really successful, and I'm talking about that from an industry perspective. So we do a couple of things that we try and eliminate what we call eliminate risk in terms of developing products that we think players will play and enjoy. One thing we do, we're a little bit unique. To a lot of our competitors in that we have partners with a lot of the land-based suppliers, as I mentioned earlier. So we're able to see what works in the land-based space, so games that are on casino floors that have been extremely popular, and then we take those games and we digitalise them. So for the example I used earlier of the company Incredible Technologies and Crazy Money 2, that's been out in the market for a long time in the land-based space, and has been extremely successful in the land-based space. So we worked with our partners there and we decided that we digitalised that product. And when we took it to market, we had the same success in the iGaming space as we did in the land-based space. The other products like the video poker, again, we've sort of seen from our experience in the industry what games within those categories work. And have been out in the market for a long period of time, but haven't been offered in the iGaming space. So we came up with, I think it was 8 video poker products initially, brought them to market, and again they very much worked well with the iGaming customer base. Outside of that, when we develop our own content, again, as I mentioned before, we look at things like licensed themes, like Raiden and Ripley's, believe it or not, that have got a strong affiliation with our customer base. And then, so that's only one part of it, however. You've got to have very good what we call game design, and a lot of that is the math, okay, the math that sits behind the games. and the features, the bonuses, how often they come up, what types of bonuses they are. So that's another very important part that we spend a lot of time, doing a lot of work to make sure we get what we call the right volatility. And volatility relates to the amount of pays and the weight of those pays over a cycle. So in layman's terms, when a player plays a game, we don't want them to win every time they press a button because it becomes boring, right? We don't want them to necessarily lose every time that they press a button either, because that's dissatisfying. So we need to find a happy balance, a happy medium within the math. And then there's a whole lot of other things, Dave, in terms of the art, the sounds, the reel strip, the way that we do the lines. There's a lot to it that we've got a team here that work diligently on coming up with a great package that makes it great for our player base.
I mean, it seems like they do an incredible job because, first off, just as a consumer, your games are incredibly fun to play. And, I never look behind the scenes. I looked at some of the material for the interview and things like that, and I was curious about, I came across something called ROC or ROC. And what is that, and how does that improve customers' enjoyment of one of your gaming products?
Sure. So ROC is, that's actually the name of our technology, Dave, that actually drives the game. So the ROC is our brand name for our remote gaming server. So this is essentially a software package that sits on a server that goes through regulatory approval. So as I said earlier, we've got to get, we only operate in regulated gaming markets. So for us to be able to actually put it into the field, the games and the technology that drives the games through our ROC have to be approved by the regulatory bodies. So, for example, in New Jersey, it's the DGE, the Division of Gaming Enforcement. We have a whole lot of rules that we need to abide by, and they're called technical standards that dictate how we need to develop our product, and then we develop that product and we submit that to the DGE. So that makes sure that the games are authentic, that they can be trusted, that the return to player percentage that we advertise the games are is correct, that they're bug-free. So it really gives the ability to trust in the products through doing that. But yeah, the ROC is the core of our technology that we develop games on, that we then submit to the DGE, and then once we get an approval, we launch the games with our partners, as I said earlier, like Golden Nugget Resorts, etc. So yeah, we're continuing to evolve that technology, Dave, as we have new game concepts come out. So whenever we have new categories of products, we have to develop more software that enables the remote gaming server, the ROC, to be able to deploy those games in the market.
When we talk about innovation in the gaming market, I don't think I've seen anything as creative as what you're coming out with soon, and that's called NBA Last 60. I think it's an absolutely incredible idea. Tell us about NBA Last 60.
Sure, and Dave, we feel the same way. We're extremely excited about this product. It's the first of a kind in North America. And now essentially what it is, Dave, we've partnered with a company called Highlight Games out of the UK, and what Highlight went out and they got the rights to NBA historical footage.
Wow.
So, the last 3 or 4 seasons of the NBA games, they have the rights to the footage of those particular games. So once we got the rights, what we did is we went in and of all that footage, we took slices of each game. Okay, so you might have, one team playing another and they're going from, defensive to offensive, and they might score or they might not score. So we take one clip or multiple clips of any particular game and multiple games. So what happens from there is the player can choose two teams to play against each other. They can then bet on different variables. So who will score the first three-pointer, who will win the game, who will score the last goal. There's multiple bets that players can bet on. Once they've made their bet, they move over to actually play the game. And what we do is we're calling the first version NBA Last 60. And what we do is we'll have two teams that are in the last 60 seconds of a match.
Wow.
And when they play, we randomly draw those clips that I was mentioning before. So we might choose a clip from a game that was played 2 years ago, and then the next clip we'll choose, it might be from one clip from 1 year ago. So the players can never really determine who's going to win the game based on what happened in the past, because we're randomly choosing clips from multiple games over multiple years. So we have odds per bet, and then, as I say, it's the last 60 seconds of two teams playing, and it really creates a very exciting product, Dave, because as you can imagine, we start off with the teams either even, or one team can be ahead by a little bit, or a fair amount ahead. But depending on these random clips and who scores throughout the last 60 seconds will determine who wins.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards. Hey, this is Dave Weishuttle from House of Cards with your House of Cards gaming report for the week of December 2nd, 2019. WSOP.com has inked a deal with the NFL to become an official sponsor of the league. WSOP.com will now offer its customers promotions involving the NFL, which will include sending one of its players to the Super Bowl in Miami. The contest is called Sit and Go to the Super Bowl and will allow players in Nevada and New Jersey to compete for 2 tickets to the big game. People in Iowa can now play fantasy sports through FanDuel. After winning approval from the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission, FanDuel has now become an official daily fantasy provider in the Hawkeye State. This announcement ended a 5-year process in order for FanDuel to become an official provider. And finally, the Las Vegas Strip has not opened a resort since the Cosmopolitan opened in 2010, but in 2022, one of the most expensive resorts is going to open right down the street. The $4.3 billion Resorts World Casino would become the most expensive development on the Strip since the Cosmopolitan opened, costing $4.25 billion. The property will have 3,500 hotel rooms, 350,000 square feet of meeting space, and will have 7 pools. That's going to be one heck of a casino. Have any news or tips regarding casinos, gaming, or legislation? Send us an email at newsroom@houseofcardsradio.com and follow us on Twitter at HOC Radio.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
Whoa! I think we got a show.
Oh, yeah, we got a show.
We definitely got a show.
Oh, yeah, there's a show. Hey, it's all about ratings, baby, and we got them.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here. For those of you just joining us, I'm talking with CEO and founder of Spin Games, Kent Young. What kind of bets can people place on the game? I mean, is it a full range of bets when people are watching it?
Yeah, so in terms of amounts, Dave, or types of bets?
Or types of bets, like money line bets, spread bets, prop bets, something like that.
Yeah, well, we do limit the bets because we have to in terms of the return to player percentage. It's a little bit different in that we use what's called a random number generator.
Okay.
So the random number generator actually chooses those clips. So as I said before, our initial product is going to be, who will score the first three-pointer, who will win the actual game, who will score the last 2. we're going to bring in other bets over time. Our initial version is going to be fairly rudimentary, so it's not over-confusing for the player. But we will be bringing in prop bets in later versions, definitely.
I got to tell you, this is an absolutely incredible idea. What was the development like for this game? It must have been incredible with the different number of outcomes and the different games and the different clips and the random generator. What was this like building this game?
Yeah, it is very complex. There's a lot of complexity to it. So the development has been very comprehensive, and it's been interesting, but definitely doable. There's a lot of moving parts in this product because it's brand new. Nobody's actually done this, but when it all comes down to it, David, it comes down to a mathematical equation, right? It comes down to on the one side in terms of the odds that we set and the return to player. So there was a lot of work done on the mathematical side to make sure that we got it right. And then there was another side, the technical side, to make sure that we got it right in terms of how we deliver the products to the player. So, for example, you'll be able to play the games on both desktop and mobile. So we needed to make sure that the games could actually run, efficiently on both a mobile device and on a desktop. Which in itself has a lot of complexity. So as you know, there's a lot of different devices out there, from Samsungs to Apple phones. There's different browsers that people use, Chrome and Safari. So there's a whole lot of technical stuff that I won't sort of bore you with, but that we had to really make sure that we got that right, because, as I say, the objective for us with this product is we want the player to feel like they're actually betting on a real game. Although it's historical footage, we really want to make that seamless to the player. So yeah, absolutely, Dave. It's been a monstrous task in terms of getting the product right, both from a technical perspective and from a mathematical perspective. But we're actually planning on submitting the product to New Jersey next month. With the hope that we'll actually go live January, February next year, all going well.
Well, you kind of touched on my next question. When and where will people be able to play NBA Last 60? What plans do you have on where people can make this available? Sure.
So initially, Dave, I think we you noticed we put out an announcement that we did a deal with Golden Nugget.
Yep.
And before that, we put out an announcement with Resorts. So we're planning on going live in New Jersey, as I say, early 2020. We've signed up, I think it's about 9 operators in New Jersey. But initially, we'll be taking the product live with Resorts and Golden Nugget, and then we've got other casinos that will follow. But yeah, very excited to go live, in particular with those operators. We've got a great partnership there, and also DraftKings, who you might be familiar with, is another one that we'll be going live with early 2020. And so yeah, it'll be once we roll the product out, it'll be available on essentially all the websites, all the internet gaming websites in New Jersey. With a view to them all being available towards the end of Q1 next year, 2020.
Cam, we're running out of time, but can you give out a website so people can go and find out more about Spin Games and the products you have?
Sure. Our website is www.spingames.net. So yeah, we'd welcome any of your customers to come in and have a look at us, and very excited to be bringing these products to market, and sincerely thank you for having us on today, Dave. Much appreciated.
You bet. Kent Young, CEO and founder of Spin Games, thanks so much for coming on and telling us all about your innovative gaming products. And I got to tell you, as a resident of New Jersey, I cannot wait to try NBA Last 60. So thanks a lot for coming on and telling us all about it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. You have a great day.
You too. Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards.
You're listening to the House of Cards. Join us online at houseofcardsradio.com.
Because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you. Unless When that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Been practicing this speech, haven't you?
A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed.
That was good. I liked it.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Ashley Adams, the host of House of Cards. And if you are a regular listener, you should know that we like to have people from all walks of the gambling and poker world. Today is no exception. We are fortunate to have with us someone who goes around the world playing poker. His name is Maurice Jenkins. I describe him as a world-traveling poker player. He is now in Malaysia, joining us on Skype, so you may hear a little interference in the background. But Maurice, are you there?
I am here. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
I am just terrific. Why don't you tell our listeners what your gig is, what you do?
So I am a software engineer. I have a company called Qual Data, not to give it a plug. We do basically opinion-based research. It's all remote work, so it gives me the opportunity to travel a lot more than maybe I'm worthy of, but I take advantage of the time.
That's terrific. And I've read your bio, so I know the answer to some of these questions, but I'd like you to tell our listeners, where have you played poker, Maurice?
Wow. So I played poker. We're just going to go ahead and say any poker player worth his medal has already played in Vegas. So we'll leave out Vegas and the various casinos there. But I played through the Midwest and like Colorado, a lot of reservations, a lot of cruise ships, but done some good traveling, playing in Vietnam, China, Mexico, Malaysia. Surprising. And most people don't actually realize that, okay, anyone who knows about Malaysia knows it's a Muslim country primarily, but you're surprised. But I was very surprised to find out that they have a casino here, and it's a really nice one. But stateside, I've gambled in Florida, Arizona, Colorado, Maryland, Louisiana, North Carolina, California. Those are primarily the ones that stick out in the top of my mind right now.
Well, you have some superlatives on your bio sheet, and just for the sake of igniting some controversy, I've played poker in just about all the places you mentioned, and I would love to explore a little more deeply how you came up with some of these things. Now, first of all, you mentioned best food, New Orleans Harrah's, no question. Now, I got to ask you, brother, have you ever had the food at Caesar's Bacchanalia Buffet in Las Vegas?
I have.
And you think that the New Orleans Harrah's is better?
This is what I'll say. And I'll say that Caesar's Buffet is amazing. They have a great buffet. The only reason I gave New Orleans as having the best food was because of the surrounding area.
All right,
I won't say that I won't say Harrah's itself has good food. So I'll back up. I'll back up to your wisdom on that one. But I would say the surrounding area in New Orleans made it, because I don't honestly think I even ate while in Harrah's. I'm pretty sure I just explored it. And then also, I have to say, New Orleans is my hometown. That's my birthplace, so I have to feel a little excited about, the food there.
Well, I got to second the fact that New Orleans has some of the best food I've ever eaten. And I've explored some of the fancier restaurants and some of the plainer restaurants, like just down the street from Harrah's Casino is, I think, a place called Mother's. Is that the name? It's just like a cafeteria that I loved. And I love New Orleans for food. Do you still call New Orleans your home base, or is Malaysia your home base now?
No, my home base is primarily in North Carolina. I have family. My family was military, so we moved around a lot. The final location was Bragg, and everyone just stayed there. So North Carolina is primarily home base now.
So let me ask you, what is the city you would fly into in order to play in Malaysia at the best casino in Malaysia, the best poker place? Which city?
So they only have one casino, and that's Genting, Thailand. And that came about through special legislation, honestly, because as I mentioned earlier, it's a plural society. It's a mix of Chinese. I think it's somewhere like 60% Malay, which are they're all Muslims, and then Chinese, I think, constitute maybe 20%, and then you have Indian and various other groups that constitute the remaining. And so everything is, if you're Muslim, you live under Sharia law. If you're non-Muslim, then you live under British common law. And so they created and allowed the casino only for people that are not Muslim. So if you're not Muslim, like you're not permitted to actually go into that casino. Like you can go in there, but it's like an arrestable offense. So there's nothing but Chinese and foreigners and like me in there.
So what city would I fly into to play there?
KL, Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, you're flying to Kuala Lumpur, and it's about an hour, 45 minutes outside of Kuala Lumpur. The alternative, I'm currently in Penang. There's a cruise ship here. It leaves out. It's kind of like in South Carolina. They have they have a gambling boat in South Carolina that leaves out at maybe 10 in the morning, comes back at 3 or 4. I can't remember when. But they have the similar setup here. They have a cruise ship that will come in, and it docks at 8 a.m. and it leaves out at 9 a.m. and it comes back at 6 p.m. And so it just goes out into international waters, and then they turn all the machines on and start the games up.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Wake up, poker fans!
You're listening to House of Cards.
Welcome back, listeners. This is Ashley Adams. You're listening to House of Cards. Listeners, just so you know, we're talking to Maurice Jenkins, who is I would describe him as a world-traveling poker player, at least not a professional, but a very enthusiastic amateur who's played in a lot of places. When I played at the Cherokee in North Carolina, they only had the Poker Pro tables, and we had live players, but you were playing without a dealer, without chips, without cards, on like a huge computer screen. And I got used to it after a while. Now I guess you guys have live dealers and everything, right?
They do. You and I probably went down there around the same time when Cherokee first opened, I think in 2000, the early 2000s. I remember they were primarily just slot machines. Then legislation passed. They allowed them to have the setup that you experienced. And so I went down there in 2012 and 2012, 2013, and they still had the electronics with the big screen playing against each other. But in I think 2015, 16, I went back down there in 2016 or 17, and yeah, they had a passed new legislation and allowed live poker table. So that was pretty cool. I like playing against those guys and Cherokee. I like playing in Cherokee. I like playing in Vegas because you just get a good crop of players in Vegas. I like playing against those guys. Despite my less than favorable, I guess, disposition towards MGM, you can find a good crop of players in MGM in Maryland in that area too. More so at the MGM than I did at Maryland Live. Maryland Live is cool too. I like Maryland Live. There's nothing to take away against Maryland Live. But I remember I bumped into a couple guys in the MGM who were, I won't say they were professional players, but they were guys who every day, I met 3 of them that said they would come to the casino, play poker to win $500, and that's their day. That's it. I play to win $500, and then I go home for the rest of the day. That was it. He's like, sometimes I win $500 in 2 hands. Sometimes I'll spend $3,000 in the casino for 12 hours just to win that fight. And that was his livelihood. And it was very interesting. It was, and maybe I think it's primarily because it's DC, and DC is very an eclectic area. A lot of people from a lot of different parts of the world and the states. So you run across a very varied group of people. So.
Well, if you're playing, if you're playing 6 days a week at $500 a day, that's $150,000 a year. That's not a bad living.
You know what? I was glad I met him, because just as you did the math on that, that's exactly what I did. Because at first I was thinking, that's very interesting. And then as I was driving back home to North Carolina, and that conversation that I had with him kept ringing in my head, I was like, that's actually a pretty good, that's a pretty good take. That's not a bad take at all. If you're able to successfully pull it off, it's not bad at all.
No, I agree. Hey, we're going to have to end the interview, but I just wanted to let you know, in case you have an aspiration to be the most traveled poker player in the world, you have a bit of a ways to go, because I was just counting up your states and your countries, and I think you've played poker in 12 states, which is a lot, and 6 countries, which is a lot. But I got to tell you, brother, I have played poker in 50 states, all 50, and in 24 countries. So you got a ways to go.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
What's the oddest country you played poker in?
Okay. I played poker in Japan, which is very hard to do because it's not legal and there's a big penalty if you play. So I'm not officially admitting that. I just want the listeners to know it was for entertainment purposes only, okay? But I also played, here is the most exotic location, and it's completely legal. And I would recommend it to you. It's the island of Saipan, which is part of the United States in the Pacific, south of Japan. The Mariana Islands, northern Mariana Islands, they have a big Chinese casino called the Imperial Palace. They have 2 games going, a 1-2 game and a 2-5 no-limit hold'em game. And, man, it takes 3.5 hours to get there by plane from the nearest place on any major country. I mean, you can go from Guam, but you got to get to Guam, so you fly from usually Tokyo. And it is an island paradise that has this ridiculously large casino that's totally out of place, that's populated entirely by very wealthy Chinese gamblers. So if you're looking for a place to go, man, Saipan. Okay?
Nice. I will absolutely keep that in mind, Ashley. I like it. One last question. I know you got to go. One last question.
Yeah,
I like to ask any poker player this. Sure. What's the biggest pot you ever made and you ever won?
$4,200 at the Imperial Palace in Saipan.
It's a beautiful feeling, too. I know it is. I love those feelings. Man.
How about you? What's your biggest hand? What's your biggest hand?
Biggest pot was 38, and it was a bluff pot. I was actually upset that he was actually trying to buy it from me. I think I was at Planet Hollywood in My family was upstairs because typically when I travel with my family, I always have to hit the casinos at 11 o'clock because I put them to sleep and I hit the casino. And I left out, and it was 3 a.m. I'm about to go back upstairs anyway, and the guy just threw his pot in there. And I think I don't know how much I had. I just chunked it in there because I'm going home. I didn't care. And it was a $3,200 pot. And I was like,
sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, man. Hey, Maurice, nice chatting with you. When you play in another 10 countries, call us back. We'll put you back on.
Absolutely. I'm coming back for you, Ashley.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye. Listeners, that was Maurice Jenkins, world-traveling poker player. That'll do it, listeners. We're going to end the show, but come back next week. And until then, good luck and good day.